This guy might be the last broadcast you ever watch. The sentence sat fixed at the top of the chat window, a neon warning, glowing like a silent prophecy. But no one took it seriously. At the center of the screen, bathed in LED light, a young man laughed into the camera, headphones resting on his head like a crown. They called him Speed, millions of followers, millions of notifications, millions of instant judgments. He talked fast, breath fast, judge fast. Speed was his armor. It was as if anything slow was allergic to him. Chat! Chat! You seeing this? He shouted, shaking the camera in his hand. Today's episode is called Fake Heroes Online. Let's meet the so-called war legends, huh? Look, look! The lens focused on a pair of old, weathered hands. The skin looked like a map left too long in the sun, cracked, lined, brown-spotted. In the center of those palms rested a small wooden disc, hanging from a thin chain. It wasn't shiny. It was dull, plain, even lifeless. Along its burned edges, a name was carved roughly. Daniel W. Hale, 1968. The chat exploded. Fake LOL. Minecraft metal. Built that at IKEA. Emotes rained down, laughing faces, fire-breathing dragons, falling chairs. The right side of the screen looked like a carnival. On the left sat an old man, shabby, but neatly dressed, quiet, almost ceremonial in his silence. As if his voice was something he only used out of courtesy, like taking off a hat when entering a room. Hey old man, Speed said, zooming the camera toward the disc. So this is your medal? What, the army ran out of metal and gave you wood instead? Ha ha! The old man didn't raise his head. He slowly turned the chain, the disc spinning gently between his fingers. This isn't a medal, he said, his voice low and steady, like a stone rolling in a stream. It's for remembering. For remembering, huh? Did you hear that, chat? Speed mocked. What are you remembering, Pops? Where'd you get it, Home Depot, or maybe Lowe's? The sentence broke off. A doorbell rang. Its chime echoing through the studio like rust. Oh! Another surprise guest? Speed laughed. He ran to the door and came back with two men, one in a security uniform, and one in civilian clothes. Broad-shouldered, mid-40s, calm but sharp-eyed. The studio lights made him squint slightly. Sir, the civilian said to the old man, I need a word with you. But first, may I see that disc? The old man nodded. The man took the disc carefully in his palms, bowed his head slightly, and touched the burn marks with the tip of his thumb. His eyes softened, the kind of stillness that comes when a puzzle piece finally fits. He returned the disc, slow, deliberate, almost ceremonial. Then turned to the security guard and whispered something. The guard quietly left. Chat hesitated for the first time. What's happening? Is this scripted? Who's that guy? Ha! Speed laughed nervously. Chat, chill, this ain't no CIA raid. It's an entertainment stream. Go ahead, Pops, tell us what that for remembering thing means. The old man lifted his gaze towards Speed. There was no anger there. No bitterness. It was the kind of look that passes through a person. Through their face, past their walls, straight into the night behind them. One day, he said, when you speak a name, you owe it something. I carry my debt right here. Speed was about to reply when the sound of engines filled the street outside. Not chaotic, but rhythmic, disciplined. Boots echoed in the hallway, synchronized, steady. Then the door opened. Two people entered first, a man and a woman, both in dark suits, their eyes scanning the room like searchlights. And behind them came another man, gray hair, hard posture. A face shaped more by thought than by laughter. He wasn't wearing a uniform, but you could tell he had once worn one with gravity. The moment he stepped inside, his eyes locked on the wooden disc. He stopped. Took one step. Then another. Speed instinctively pushed his chair back. A single dust particle hovered in the studio light, waiting for permission to fall. The man stood before the old veteran. The LED lights seemed to fade, The colors drained to black and white. He clicked his heels together, didn't smile, didn't blink, didn't speak. He simply saluted. 4 seconds. 5. 6. The chat froze. As if standing at the edge of a cliff, afraid to breathe. Then one message appeared. He's saluting him. After that, nothing. Mr. Hale, the man said, lowering his hand. It took a long time to find you. The old man smiled faintly, a smile carrying decades. I've always been here, General. Only the names keep changing. Speed swallowed hard, his throat dry. Sir, I'm just running a show, he stammered. This was supposed to be a joke. A joke, the man repeated. He rolled the word in his mouth like a stone. Some learn how dangerous jokes can be, in the middle of fire. Who are you? Speed asked, his voice trembling. The man said his name, quietly, but with a weight that filled the room. Then he turned to the camera. Is the stream still live? Why, yes, Speed muttered. His voice barely audible. But microphones hear every secret. The man stepped closer to the lens. You see this disc? He said. Wood. Stained with the smoke of a burning house. The burns came from a child's toy chest. That day, metal melted. Rules melted. Borders melted. But some men didn't. They were carved. He paused. And we owe everything to those carvings. Then he turned to Speed. Your trade is speed, isn't it? But some things can only be seen when you slow down. That day, this man's slowness saved a child's breath. Acting fast is easy. Standing still takes courage. Speed lowered his head. I didn't know. Not knowing, the old man said softly, isn't dangerous. Refusing to change after knowing, that's the danger. The air in the studio changed. The LEDs still glowed the same colors, but a different kind of light filled the room. A heavier light, one that touched the furniture and deepened the shadows. As if gravity itself had grown stronger. Mr. Hale, said the general, what hurt you most today? The veteran looked at the disc. The weight of a name, sir, he said. A name is a shoulder. I kept my back bent for years so it wouldn't fall. Today, laughter tried to break its shape. The general nodded slowly. I understand. Then he looked at Speed. We need to talk. The chat didn't hear that conversation. The live stream cut to a technical error screen. No sound. No music. Just 3 minutes of black, 3 minutes that would later become a footnote in internet history. When the stream returned, Speed was different. He looked into the camera, slower this time. His eyes reflected not the LEDs, but thought. I made a mistake, he said. I talked fast. I didn't think slow. And today I learned 2 things. 1. Not everything that shines is made of metal. 2. Before you say someone's name, understand the weight it carries. Chat was silent for a moment. Then messages began to appear. Apology. Respect. Lesson learned. But the real change began that evening. A week later, a new sign appeared outside his studio. Silent Stories. Every Thursday, Speed hosted a 1-hour stream dedicated to the stories of silent heroes. The format was simple, each guest brought an object. A button, a ribbon, a watch. They told the story behind it, and when it fell silent. Because some objects speak loudest when they stop making noise. The second week, a woman arrived carrying a half-burned teddy bear. When I was little, she said, a man carried me out of a burning building. I never learned his name. My toy burned, but I lived. The chat filled with one word, respect, raining like soft light. The third week, a man arrived wearing a thin chain with a small copper tag. His hands trembled as he placed it on the table. I wasn't wearing a uniform that day, he said. But it was still mine. Everyone understood. Uniforms aren't always made of fabric. Some are carved from wood, drawn in smoke, or worn as silence. Speed's viewership didn't drop, it changed. The numbers evened out, but the laughter felt different now, cautious, honest. When chat turned toxic, new comments appeared out of nowhere. Watch your words. Slow down. Every name matters. The man who saluted that day began working with Speed. Together, they created a short educational program. The Memory of Objects. It toured American high schools and colleges, teaching young creators. Every title is a key. Every key opens a door. And behind every door, there's a name. When you say that name, you carry a shoulder. The first module began with a wooden disc. Months later, on a rainy afternoon, Speed was browsing through a local bookstore, flipping through a new documentary book. He smelled the paper, calm, steady, clean. Then, from the back of the store, came the soft tap of a cane on wood. The old man? Alone. The chain around his neck dried despite the rain, the disc still quietly dull. Speed stood up so fast his chair creaked. For a second, he didn't know what to say. Then he made a small circle in the air with his hands and bowed his head. "I've been waiting to thank you," he said. "Thank me?" The old man smiled. "I should thank you, son." "For what?" "For changing your laugh," he said. "It's harder to change a laugh than to change a war. You did that." The bookstore door opened, letting in a fresh breeze. They stepped outside together. At the corner, a boy was struggling to fly a broken kite. The wind kept pulling it down. He twisted the string wrong, tugging too hard. The kite slapped the asphalt again and again. Speed moved forward, then looked at the old man. The old man nodded. "Go." Speed knelt beside the boy. "Listen," he said. "Kites are like stories. If you pull too fast, they fall. Slow down. Feel the wind. There, let it go, gently." The kite caught the breeze, climbing higher, higher, until it danced in the sky. The boy laughed, a laugh more real than any emoji. The old man sat on a bench, turning the disc in his hand, breathing in peace. A few days later, Speed returned to the studio for a special episode. The title was simple: "The Metal That Doesn't Shine." The description ended with, "Tonight, 100,000 of us will think slow, together." People tuned in from homes, cars, offices. They held small objects to their cameras: a button, a keychain, a prayer bead. Each had a name. Each name, a shoulder. Near the end of the show, Speed paused and leaned toward the lens. "I have one request," he said. "Before you laugh at someone, look at what they carry. Sometimes it doesn't sparkle. Sometimes it burns. Sometimes it has a name." Before he could finish, there was a knock. The man from that day entered, followed by two young people. One of them nervously removed his cap. "I'm that kid," he said softly. "The one whose toy burned." The studio froze, then fell into perfect silence. Speed rose slowly, like a soldier at attention. He faced the young man. "Welcome," he said. "That's why we're here, for you to tell your story." When the broadcast ended, the screen went dark. No links, no music, no outro. Just one word glowed in the middle: respect. A month later, the Silent Stories team went on tour: 3 cities, 6 schools, 1 museum. The same ritual, everywhere. People pulled their unshining medals from their pockets. Some were made of cardboard, some of fabric, some were just words written on paper. In one classroom, a girl stood up holding a broken button. "This," she said, "was from my mom's uniform. When it fell off, she never came back. I kept it." The room was silent. That button, without a coat, still carried the weight of one. When the tour ended, they returned to the studio. The LEDs still glowed, but a new kind of shadow lingered on the walls. The shadow of slowness. Talking fast wasn't funny anymore. Speed still existed, but now, it had reins. The old man appeared one last time. The disc still hung from his neck. "Can you let it go now?" the general asked quietly. "Has the name grown too heavy?" After a long silence, the old man shook his head. "Heavy, yes," he said. "But it's a good kind of weight. It keeps me standing." A name, sometimes it's a scar. Sometimes it's a stitch. And I'm not ready to undo it. He turned to Speed. Son, you've already changed your laugh. There's only one thing left. What's that? Speed asked. Your eyes. The old man pointed to his own. Stop looking for what shines. Start looking for what remains. Speed nodded. I promise. The lights dimmed. Outside, street lamps cut silver lines into the wet asphalt. In the distance, a child's voice echoed. A kite string sliding slowly through small fingers. And that night, one final sentence appeared on the black screen. No one knew who wrote it. No one knew who erased it. But it was there. Not everything that fails to shine is incomplete.